Lawrence, don't try to slow the Métis cart down. Folks, thank you for joining us here on the Squeaky Wheel. With me, as always, my very good friend, the President, Lawrence Gervais. And folks, I'm the Captain, Ross Memphis Pambrun. As you heard in the beautiful music that brought us in by Alex Kostruk. Folks, and our big shout out to it's National Physicians Week. So I remember a long time ago, there was one of those brain teasers, Lawrence, and the individual, because it ends up in the hospital, it's a young boy. And the doctor says, well, I can't work on this child. This child is my son. And the question is who's the doctor? And of course, it's one of these very misogynist. If you just assume that the doctor must be a man, well, of course, it's the son's mother. So if you're a physician, you've probably heard that brain teaser before. Folks, if you haven't, I probably just ruined it for you. But also, it's National Umbrella Month. Now, I actually, Lawrence, have absolutely no idea how anybody comes up with these ideas. I just have to assume it's the umbrella lobbyists who are trying to ensure.
Yeah, it's Putin. He owns all the umbrellas. Yeah, he's trying to make money.
Yes, yeah, this is how these rumors and actually how terrible things end up happening. So our thoughts and our hopes and our wishes were with the families and all of those people in Ukraine, and that the world is working to try and sort it out, and that everybody is trying to do their parts. And I have a number of fundraisers that I'll be contributing to and attending here in the next little while. And folks, let's pray for all of those people.
This episode brought to you by the Métis Nation of Alberta, with a vision of a strong Métis Nation embracing Métis rights, and a mission to pursue the advancement of the socioeconomic and cultural well-being of the Métis people of Alberta. For more information, go to www.albertamétis.com. Now, back to the show.
Lawrence, before we jump into anything Métis, and maybe this is where some of that conversation will lead out of this, but the Oscars. Folks, if you haven't heard about Will Smith at the Oscars, you've been living under a rock, or you just were found on a ship that was floating in the ocean. Lawrence, what happened? How do you think the world should respond?
I was a little bit taken aback when I seen it, but at the end of the day, it's physical violence, and I don't think anybody of us would get away with something like that. I think the police needed to certainly intervene at some point, and maybe they still are. They still got to look at Chris Rock's face because there's fresh prints on them. Get it? It's a joke.
Lawrence, come on. Tell me you didn't make that up. That must have been on some kind of a meme. You know me, I'm not on a lot of social media, but that just made me laugh.
Yeah, folks, I give all credit to Russell Wallace. He's a friend of mine in Vancouver. He put that on Facebook. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever heard. So
that is the funniest thing that I've heard. And for all of you who are not watching, and who are just listening, Lawrence is dressed again in one of his beautiful suits, usually wearing some very expensive t-shirt I've just put together with some stuff that I pick out of Bavaria in Germany. I always love Lawrence looking at you in the office. But if you are unaware, yes, we are talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock on the face. Now, the story behind it, if you didn't actually watch it, if you are literally under a rock and you didn't get a chance to be on any kind of socials where you've heard anything about this, Chris Rock had gone up and made it wasn't a tremendously rude remark, but I guess it sounds like he was unaware of Will Smith and his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, who were right up front of the audience, and unaware that she has any kind of medical history related to hair loss. And he just makes a joke about the G.I. Jane number 2. And you're absolutely right, Lawrence. I think they had every right to, make a hand gesture or, yell something that's inappropriate. But Will Smith went up. And you could see Chris Rock saw this was not scripted. Apparently neither was his comment about Jada Pinkett Smith. And again, seemingly completely unaware. And Will Smith, as he approached him, I thought, ooh, what's this about? And he hauled back and he walloped him right in the face.
Yeah.
And to Chris Rock's, his response, and then, as I was watching, it went silent. So they'd obviously muted everything. But you knew this was not scripted as far as you could hear that slap.
Yeah.
So,
and that brings me to the next segment. And I think what's important is teaching some Cree knowledge and maybe bringing up some of these words that kind of struck me when I kind of seen it. And one of them was, Pakeswikan, which means bannock, and of course we have a term called bannock slap, and that's when you really wind up and smack somebody. The perpetrator is called Opa Sekewataku, which means the one who slaps the faces. And then, certainly Chris Rock's defense, he really should be called Katapipiu, which means, the person who should duck. Because I didn't see any defense coming from Chris Rock.
Folks, it's not that we're condoning this. Lawrence, and you'd made that comment before, and I think we'll touch on it a little bit again. But hey, I wasn't too sure where you were headed with this either. But I think that's fabulous. But yes, no, we don't condone violence. Will Smith's speech after saying he's not too sure how he responded. But again, it's fine that you're saying these things, but you in front of not just, a small audience. This is the world audience of the people who watch the world of movies. And these are the biggest names. I saw a fabulous picture where it was of all the different people who were attending, their facial response at that moment. And it was like in a tile of all of them, like Tatum Channing and Javier Bardem, like everybody, when they looked at it, I'm like, I don't know how you respond to this violence. What would ever have, is there any justification? I cannot foresee any justification, like with the way the world is going now. But I didn't realize the Cree language was so adept at foreseeing.
Well, some of us who've been bannock slapped before remember those words.
And is this a real thing? Because, my dad's made bannock for many years. In fact, when we did that Tellus show and your mom was part of the one of our guests and with the ladies of the kitchen, I called them in a somewhat inappropriate way, they made bannock. I mean, is this a real thing? Is there actually, you slap somebody with bannock?
Well, yeah, but maybe we should try that. Be like Jackass and just have a little contest. Who can take the bannock?
How about next week when you and I are sitting in person that we actually do this? We're going to bring bannock in. And how about this? For the first little while, we're just going to throw bannock at each other from across the room and see how we respond to that versus actually getting hit with it.
Well, if I ever cook bannock, it's almost like a brick anyways. Because, if you knead it too much, it definitely comes out rock hard, right? So.
Yeah, and if you leave bannock... Now, in our family, it didn't matter. The bannock was generally always overdone, but with enough butter and enough honey, it didn't matter. You were using that bannock to transfer the honey to your mouth.
Yeah, and for Will Smith, I don't know. I mean, the Academy Awards will probably end up doing something. Maybe they'll do something by the time this airs, Who knows? But, I mean, if I was a member of an organization, definitely I'd be concerned because I'm sure there's some type of criteria in there that you can't do physical violence on another individual in front of 17 million people. So whatever.
Well, pretty soon when you show up to the red carpet, there's probably going to be one of those little signs that says, please, no slapping of the talent or anybody else who's on stage. In fact, don't slap anybody at all is what it's going to have to say. So when you get out of your $10 million limo, that's what's going to be there. And Amy Schumer, who was one of the hosts, and I saw her little skit where she got up and pretended to speak to Kirsten Dunst's husband, saying, oh, this girl just must be a seat filler. Now, she's probably wearing a $5,000 suit, and it was scripted, but she was getting backlash from the fans of Kirsten Dunst going, whoa, you treated her poorly, you made fun of her, she's not a seat filler. Yeah, that's the joke, right? Like, folks, don't get so upset about everything. Like, they're just clamoring onto anything in order to try and express an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So thank God it's over. In fact, I didn't even know it was on until I heard the slap heard around the world. I thought, oh, the Academy Awards is on. Didn't have no idea.
I think I was flipping around for one of the hockey games or maybe the Raptors, and all of a sudden I came across, and it's one of those, I don't love to watch it. I don't even know usually 80% of the movies until they really come out. In which case, I saw it and I'm like, I'll just leave it on. Often you get to see somebody famous. Occasionally you get to see somebody famous slap somebody else famous.
Yeah, I think that they should
That's
bring,
the new norm.
They should have Mike Tyson on there hosting next year. Then nothing to worry about. Yeah.
It's going to be the new norm. How do you slap? I mean, you think of what Ricky Gervais used to say, you know, how harsh he was. Yeah, he's got to be looking at this going, well, I never got slapped, so I guess I was doing all right. So again, Lawrence, let's jump on to some of the things that are going to be happening within our community and across Alberta. We have the assembly that's coming up. And I know we've mentioned to our listeners before. Take us through what happens, because this is, though we're a couple months away, it's going to sneak up on us awful fast.
Yeah,
give us some dates.
It starts August 4th, so that's sort of the meet and greet. That's a Thursday. And then everybody gets there on the Friday. Friday's usually the reports from all the ministers, including myself. And then they ask for special resolutions for the Saturday. But in that Friday night, that very first Friday night, we're hosting a rodeo up at Al Gerlitz's near Balzac, and doing one there. And we're pretty excited about doing a rodeo that evening. And there'll be music, live entertainment. Well, yeah, live entertainment as well as some stock will show up, and I'm sure some people will try riding those things, right? So maybe you'll get on one. I don't know.
I can pretty much guarantee that my saddle bronc days are long over. Though, as it has been somewhat professed, I think there's a good chance you're going to see Memphis in the Grand up there. So, folks, look us up on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, Lawrence, as always.
And I guess your saddle bronc days weren't actually days; they were more like seconds, right?
Oh, yeah, okay. I rode in the Wild Rose one. I think that was up in Fort McMurray. You're right. Okay, it was a day's amount of work to get there. Lawrence, when they pulled that chute, and I had my chin tucked down and I did my nod. They pulled that chute. I don't even remember the horse coming out, and I was already flying in the air.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was 1 or 2 seconds. And another time I rode, they pulled that chute, and I don't think it was more than 2 seconds before I was lost.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to these riders who are going to be coming out and giving us a good show, because you and I should get into some kind of wild horse race is what we should be involved in.
Oh yeah, those were fun when I watched those when I was a kid. Not so fun for the horse, but definitely fun for everybody to see.
Well, fun. Yeah. And then that horse, they're generally pretty rank. So, we support all rodeo, we support all chuck wagon, and I love the fact that those families care as much for those animals as they care for any other member of their family. So,
So, and then the Saturday, we have our resolution day. So all the votes, I'm sure there'll be a forum for all the candidates because it's an election in September. And then that Saturday evening, there's a dance. Everything at the Grey Eagle Resort. In the event center. We're pretty excited about being there. They can fit upwards of 1,000 people at one time. So, and we estimate we might get 1,000 Métis over at Tsuut'ina. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a great in order to support our local economy and support our relationships with our First Nation families. So folks, mark your calendars. That is the big ones. That's August 4th and August 5th. And we have a golf tournament coming up.
Sorry, don't forget 6th and 7th. So 4th to the 7th.
Oh, 4th to the 7th. Oh, but the 2 big days kick off on the 4th and 5th. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then the other resolution days and the candidate meetings. Golf tournament.
Yes, we're planning that for June 23rd up at Apple Creek. So during Aboriginal Awareness Week. So if you're a company, you want to come out, maybe give us a team, sponsor a team. Who knows? You can contact Lisa Hunt at the office. Our number is 403-569-8800, and I'm sure Leighton's putting it right here, or maybe here. And then, we can certainly put you down for a team or whatever. We're pretty excited about that at Apple Creek. And then, and that's just north of Airdrie, only about 5 minutes north. And then, so Aboriginal Awareness Week, we'll probably have some workshops. We'll be attending other people's events, which normally happens. All those exciting things.
Yeah, and I know Lisa does a fabulous job. And she has not only is she now working on the golf tournament, which I'm very excited about. And folks, if you're looking at any kind of sponsorship, if you need any support or reach out through us, and we're happy to connect you. Again, Lisa Hunt in our office is doing such a great job of ensuring that there's a lot of awareness out there. We have a newsletter that's going to become another newsletter that's going to be coming out. And folks, you can always find that on our Facebook page and the Mixer, Lawrence.
Yes.
I unfortunately was unable to attend this last one, which I guess had Alex playing just beautifully and fabulously. Tell me about it. And our next one, folks, make sure you mark it down in your calendar, is on April 21st.
Yep.
So Lisa would also be happy to receive your emails and your RSVPs. So reach out to her. Lawrence, tell us about the Mixer.
Well, I mean, it's at the Lougheed House. We're pretty excited to have another relationship with them for another 6 months. So we're doing mixers all the way till September. The one in August will switch up a bit. But yeah, now we've opened the doors. We started with 30 people and we had a waiting list. Now we're moving into about 65. And they also open the doors to let people kind of in and out. They have a liquor license for the bottom garden area. So yeah, we're pretty excited to have that event and look at new exhibits that are coming to the Lougheed House. And we know there's a new curator there who's Métis. So we're pretty excited about it. A relationship.
Yeah, boy, they do such a great job. I've said that so many times of connecting with the Métis community. And yes, folks, so that one's on the April 21st. And then mark your calendars, folks, again for May 19th, because I'm going to be bringing a few members of my band and I've been invited to play. So Memphis in the Ground will be banging away there. And hopefully, as you said, as the relaxations hopefully continue to occur, we're going to see a larger number of Métis and our business community coming out. And folks, it is a fantastic time. And again, as Lawrence pointed out, just the most beautiful venue. I want to really have a nice, fun conversation, Lawrence. And let's keep it as positive in a wonderful way as we can for our listeners. And I know you're already shaking your head, folks. Lawrence is already shaking his head. Our delegation, that's in Italy.
Yeah.
What an exciting opportunity for the Inuit, the First Nations, and our Métis brothers and sisters, and our representatives who are over in Italy, and their opportunity to connect with the Pope at the Vatican. Alex Kusturuk is there. Folks, the man who plays the music on the Squeaky Wheel was at an event just yesterday, or whatever day this is, and the day before, or it could be tomorrow, but depends on where you are, it could be yesterday. And he was playing his fiddle music for the Pope.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear how it all went. But Lawrence, how do you feel about, we've talked a little bit about it before. This is a step, but how do we let go of the anger? And what do we expect?
Well, I think it's in the hearts and minds of all Indigenous people in this country, and the 1.5 million and us with 466,000 is, what is the Pope thinking? He acknowledges the hurt that happened, but he's never really made that apology. And I think that's what everybody's kind of expecting from him. So I just want to basically start off on that. And number two, he has now promised a visit to Canada. We're still unsure what that plan will be. We're hoping it'll be Lac St. Anne, up in near St. Albert there. But that is a lake that if people Google that Lac St. Anne, we'll know that it's a spiritual place. It's been there, a spiritual place since the 1800s. Us Métis folks I remember going by there when I was a kid. My mom remembers going there all the time when she was a kid. Like it's just with us. And there's definitely some healing properties in that lake. And now there's a church, and First Nations have mass there. We Métis have mass there also. So I think Lac St. Anne is a good step for him to possibly partake in. But, he is one who's a little bit older than most, so probably not as mobile as people think. So they're obviously thinking of that too, how much effort it would be for him.
So we should take him up there in Red River Cart.
I think so. Yeah, just enjoy the ride. It's squeakiness, right? Yeah.
Yeah. How many hours of squeakiness would he enjoy on the way up there? Yeah. And if we got one of our electric Métis Red River carts that we've been talking about, maybe it'd make the ride even easier.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that this, again, one of the challenges that's been within our elder community is that connection with faith. As a result of the long history of the Catholic Church, I'm hoping that this starts to ease, because people don't want to give up faith. They want to still have that connection, but that anger that's occurring, we need to work at some kind of resolution. And again, I don't know if there's ever enough money that's ever going to be spent in order to solve our world problems and solve the problems within these communities, but that connection and the awareness and an apology might be one of those steps that has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think money would really solve it. The truth is coming out. Reconciliation needs to happen on however they deem that they're going to do it. I don't think reparations will happen where the government's going to be giving money in vast amounts, but or the churches too. At the end of the day, the church needs to open up the records when they discover a grave, get as much information as they can out of the diocese to heal these families, let them heal, so they understand where their grandparents went, or their great uncles, aunties, all those things, right? So, and that certainly will take time. This won't be overnight. And, the elders estimate that it would be 7 generations for true reconciliation to happen, because it took 7 generations to take it away from us. And so, that's, we're not even close to that right now.
Yeah. No, actually, that's a very interesting approach. I think the delegation should have brought over a local podcaster, so you or I.
I know. So, I mean, when I meet with President Caron here in May, I'll definitely ask, hey, why wasn't it on the list?
And even though we've missed it this time, maybe she should just send us over and we could do one of our podcasts from there. Because my time in Italy, the two places that I've had my breath taken away, one was seeing Michelangelo's The David, and the other one being the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I couldn't believe how they just took my breath away. So folks, you're going to want to get over there. Lawrence, one other thing that's new that I was reading about, and we're going to get to our plant section here right away, was I was actually reading this nice little article about Laura Brand. She's Red River Métis. She began beading about 5 years ago. It was her way to connect with the community, connect with culture, something she didn't grow up in. And then people started giving pieces to her that they had collected, and she's working to try and return these to the Indigenous homes and the Indigenous communities. And here's a term I'd never heard before: rematriation. The fact that this project is trying to help families reclaim part of their history. Now, I don't know how easy it is to find, a pair of moccasins or a pair of gloves or a beaded vest, how you find that family, but maybe creating the awareness and seeing if the family recognizes it and asks for it so that they can, reclaim that and connect back into their community. But I thought it was a beautiful article.
Yeah, well, repatriation is all around certainly probably having to do with that patriarchal society. And they've certainly established a tone that's matriarch, because Indigenous communities all refer to their Indigenous mothers as the center of the family, right?
Yes.
And, I agree with that term, rematriation. I think it's a great term to talk about Indigenous artifacts, and especially if they're ceremonial. I know that's protected under legislation, that no museum can really carry those anymore if we use them in ceremony. But, you really have to prove that these objects that they do have really are under some sort of spiritual belief, right? Yeah. But, I'm always into reclaiming things. I think it's important. And, but for the Métis, it's a tough one too, because we know a lot of our artifacts have moved into museum hands and have always designated them as a First Nations artifact. And, we're trying to work with museums to try to identify these artifacts the rightful way, right? Because they didn't label them Métis.
Yeah, I would think that this is one of those situations where this was just, like you said, just dropped in to the hands of an unaware curator, and the easy thing is just to say, well, this is Aboriginal. So, Lawrence, the light is on. Leighton, send the sound out. We are going to talk Indigenous plants. Lawrence, what do you got for us today out of the book?
Oh, yeah. So out of this wonderful book that I've picked up, or actually was given to me as a gift, Herbs of Long Ago, Gaius Muscaceae. It talks about Saskatoon. So the Saskatoon berries, so, our traditional word is Saskatoonina. We talk about them being in these clusters. You can boil them. They were pretty much the sugar of the old days. So it like the desserts, but they're full of vitamin C. If you ever got sick with a cold, you would go through a lot of these Saskatoon berries would help you get over those colds quite easily. So, that's sort of what I want to talk about. And I do have a picture, and it's kind of a little picture there. You can kind of see it, but
for all of you listeners who aren't watching this, you can't. But yes, the Saskatoon berry, for anybody who's unaware, and my family's grown up with it because my parents were from Saskatchewan, and Mom will still pick baskets of them, and my wife will as well, and we'll make these beautiful Saskatoon pies and Saskatoon, and they're like a nice little bit darker, not the weight of a blueberry, just have a bit more powerful. But yeah, take me through it, Lawrence.
Yeah, so I mean, if you ever go to certainly a powwow or a Métis event and they present the berries as a dessert, definitely eat it up. Your mouth might be a little bit blue for a couple hours, but that's just life. But you're going to be full of vitamin C. What they would do normally was they warm a frying pan, put it on an open fire, melt the animal fat until it was fairly hot, and then they would stir very slowly the picked Saskatoons. And then the heat made a lot of the juice with the berries and very good for eating. And so that's sort of an area that people don't quite know about Saskatoons maybe. I know the Indigenous people watching go, yeah, we know about that. So
yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But yes, I love it when and they don't have the same sort of water content that a blueberry does. And I think blueberries have been a bit engineered now, right? When you get them that they're almost as big as your thumb. Yeah, I mean, but you get those Saskatoon berries and they're a little bit more work to pick. And if you're picking them at that wrong time of the season in Saskatchewan, yeah, you're getting bit to death by mosquitoes. Yeah. But it is a nice, fun treat. So yes, Lawrence, thank you again for our little plant time on the Squeaky Wheel. Lawrence, we only have a couple minutes left. I just wanted to make a comment about, I saw a road sign today, and it said, March Madness does not refer to how you should drive. Now, March Madness being very big in the world of college basketball, both for the men's and the women's, and it is a fun time. If you can pick that bracket, I think it's 1 in 600 million chance or something like that of being able to pick all of the winners in a round of 32 all the way to the end. But I think I saw that the women's are being played right now, but I thought that was kind of a fun road sign.
Yeah, well, March Madness, definitely people are driving faster, but, if you drive fast, you burn more gas, and gas prices are so high. Just slow down, relax, save some money,
You're actually going to have to save some money because, it's getting to the point where you're pretty much either at that mark of it's $75 to fill your tank or $100, or I've talked to a lot of people now who have a bigger truck, it's $150. Yeah, it's getting steep.
Yeah, I mean, I take the leisurely stroll through the back roads to work, I don't even skip the Deerfoot, just drive and just enjoy the scenery, right?
Lawrence, if we each had electric Red River carts, we wouldn't even be in this situation. Big battle between the Oilers and the Flames, and the Flames beat up my Oilers in a 9-5 battle, but both teams I'm so happy to see are in winning mode. This is going to be great for a playoff race.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Battle of Alberta. I mean, my old Montreal team is playing for a draft pick right now, so and that means lose every game.
Yeah, pretty much you lose every game.
Yeah,
you get a higher chance of winning a good draft pick.
Yeah, but I mean, all to the Flames. I mean, they're doing really well. I think they're only lost 2 games in 10 or something like that. So, yeah, they're doing awesome.
Yeah, good streak. Same with the Oilers. Boy, they're beating it up. And I've talked a little bit about my time when I was out on the Rush tour with the rock band, the historic rock band Rush, and a chance to see behind the scenes and to meet some of the superstars as they'd come out to see these Hall of Fame rock stars. And I know the Foo Fighters would come out and, a big sad loss in the world of music when Taylor Hawkins sadly has passed away, and it's affected the band. It's affected the world of music. Everybody's doing their part to try and make as positive a comment as we can. But sadly, it has canceled the Foo Fighters tour. So our thoughts are with, the music community, and, it's tough out there.
Yeah, I met Taylor twice, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, I met him with Dave Grohl at the Tower Records in Toronto when I was working there on the music floor. I was in charge of the hip hop section because I was really hip, I guess. And then, so I guess he's an ex-employee of Bob Zimmerman, our general manager, which is also the name Bob Dylan, but it's not Bob Dylan. It's a different guy. And he worked for him in Seattle for a long stroll, and Dave Grohl came in to say hi and gave us all backstage passes. And then I met Taylor there. So the Foo Fighter concert.
Isn't that fabulous? I think he was coming to a show, a Rush show in LA, and they were playing at the Gibson Amphitheater. And there's all of these different levels. And if you wanted to be at the level where the band was, you had to be a big deal. And our job is just to make sure that everything went smoothly. And so, our thoughts to that community. And again, but it does not overshadow the challenges that are occurring in our world right now. And again, all of our thoughts are the families and the people in Ukraine. So folks, from all of us here at the Squeaky Wheel, from the president, from the captain, thank you again for connecting with us. Make sure you click subscribe, follow us, tell all your friends about us. If you don't like us, tell more people. Hopefully they'll get more involved as well. So from Leighton, from behind the scenes, and from everyone here, Tansi, folks, and keep the wheel squeaking. The Squeaky Wheel is brought to you by the Squeaky Wheel Company, co-hosted by the President, Lawrence Gervais, Memphis Region 3, and the Captain, Ross, Memphis, Pambrun. Our program is broadcast from Calgary, in Region 3 of the Métis Nation of Alberta, which is part of the historic Métis Nation homeland. We also acknowledge these lands are the traditional territories of Treaty 7, Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, Tsuut'ina, and Stoney Nakoda, with whom we share this land on the basis of our historical and ongoing relationships. You can always reach us for comment about our programming by email at tsw@thesqueakywheel.ca or find us on our website, www.squeakywheel.ca, and our socials. For our comments, it is our focus to recognize all of our First Nations and Indigenous friends, share connection with Métis settlements, and listen to and show respect to our Métis brothers and sisters and families. Here at the Squeaky Wheel, we give thanks to our elders for their guidance and to Mother Earth for her time she allows us to be here and share her bounty. From all of us at the Squeaky Wheel, Tansi.